Nicks and Bruises, we are back. Shout out to the chat. Yo, Black is time. Good morning. Knicks Rewind, part
It's
two.
definitely good morning. It's definitely good morning.
Got my guy Sim in the building. Appreciate you, Sim.
We in
Jumping
there
on with
chilling,
me.
no doubt.
EP in this joint. So um it's gonna be a quick show. Just a couple things I want to talk about. Some things I noticed on the second watch of
Hmm.
our previous game. You know, our 5-0 record at home. And can we continue this home dominance and make, home court advantage actually mean something down the road? And I want to add OG to the breakout watch, and I want to add Josh Hart to the breakout watch. So
Okay.
first off, let me start with the rewind and what I noticed in that second watch of the Minnesota game. You've been talking about it, but Cat's dominance, right, and playing with purpose, um, finding his way in this offense, something that he questioned his role early in the year, and him being unsure of it. And now I think Mike Brown is putting him in positions where he could dominate and take advantage of his difficulty of being guarded. I
Right.
think early in the season it was top of the key, sometimes trailing, sometimes cutting. Now that he's giving him the ball in his hands in different places, in the wing, or pardon me, at the elbow, free throw line. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Let him create from there, and then also letting him attack from there. If it's a small guy on him, post up, back him down, get into the paint, and he can also spray from there, which Mike Brown likes. So I think Cat is finding his way and getting comfortable in this offense. That's one thing that definitely stood out to me. I got like two more, but what is your thoughts on that part of Cat? Just want to add two things. Those two assists he gave from that elbow, off of back
Hmm.
cuts. One to Brunson, you know what I mean, over the shoulder, over the head, behind the back pass, and the other one was a traditional backdoor cut. But
Yeah.
yeah, these are just places that he could
I think.
be effective.
Yeah. I think him being aggressive is helping to lead to him playing a little bit more free. Right. When you play aggressive, normally you're playing without thinking. You're reacting, right, to what the defense is giving you. When you play aggressive on the offensive side of the ball. And I think that's leading to him just playing a little bit more free. Um, I think it's almost like he's taking this stance of, okay, if I don't know exactly when I'm supposed to get my shot yet, let me just go out here and do some dirty work. Let me be a glue guy, right? Until I know exactly where I'm supposed to be getting my shots. And as a result, the ball is attracted to energy. As a result, he's finding shots in good places because he's not thinking about it. He's just going and playing with what's comfortable to him. You know what I mean? So I think that's part of it. And then as time is going on, he's figuring out where he's supposed to be on the floor, figuring out um, what kind of what kind of shots he's supposed to get. People see him playing with energy, so they're going to find him, right? Like I said, the ball's attracted to energy. So, he's playing hard. Let's get him to rock, and they're going to find him. They're going to get him the ball anyway. But I think that's a big part of, just him fitting into the offense, just playing, just going out there and hooping and doing what you can do without thinking. And eventually, the more with more repetitions, in practice walkthroughs, it starts to boil over into the game, right? Where to be on the floor, where to get your shots, understanding your role in the offense, etc. So, yeah.
Well, for me, because I even spoke about this last year, and it's something that I had hoped that would be added into the offense was giving
Mm-hmm.
Cat some more possessions, right? Some more time to be where the offenses ran through him, and I think that's something that we're noticing. He's getting the opportunities to play make. He it's a lot harder to play make from the you know top of the 3-point line than it is
Mm-hmm.
in the middle of the floor where now
Right.
there's actions going on everywhere around you, and people have to
Right.
react. You know what I mean? It's harder to
Right.
even So it's just making him so much more of a weapon, and
Mm-hmm.
in turn is making things easier for his surrounding guys. You know what I
Right.
mean? The bench impact, and this correlates too because I think there's a chemistry that's building between Cat and Clarkston. You know what I
Okay.
mean? And that's something that I'm gonna be looking into as I watch the next couple of games or the rest of the season, just to see how much of this builds. But
Mm-hmm.
he's another guy that Cat got one of his assists from off of, and those opportunities that Cat gets with the second unit guys are more opportunities for Cat to kind of dominate and show his presence. But he's not being
Right.
selfish with it. You know what I mean? He's
Right.
not saying, "Oh, this
Right.
is my time to go out there and get me up to the 25 that I average." You know what I mean?
Right.
Or get me back to the 25 I average. He's like looking at his teammates around him and getting them looks. Um, but
Mm-hmm.
Clarkson, man, he's getting comfortable as well. You know what I mean? It's nice to see that. I was probably one of the least worried people about him. But it's definitely a noticeable change in his demeanor and in his just comfortability, around those guys and on the floor. Um, what have you seen from Clarkson? What do you like? What are you
I
looking
think
forward
he's
to?
under. I think he's understanding what shots he should be taking. Um, earlier I thought, he would try to force some things. So I think he's understanding what shots he should be taking. I think he's, I think he too is playing more free and just, also just playing without thinking. You know what I mean? And as he's into the system more and with more repetition, he's understanding better. It's becoming more natural for him to take shots in where Mike Brown and the coaching staff wants him to take shots. So as a result, he's playing a little more smooth without thinking. You know, I still think we saw sometimes over the past few games where he would maybe overpass a little bit. But part of that is learning your teammates. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, he's looking good, and he's looking like the guy. So over the past 2 or 3 games, like the guy we thought he was going to be,
Yeah.
and we want him to be. And I think the added minutes help too.
Oh, 100%. And I don't even know if it's I think the overpassing and the bad passes, a couple of them was more of him. Would you say trying to fit in? You know what I mean? I
Yeah,
thought,
learning his teammates.
you know what I mean, but I thought some of them was due to it was him not being himself. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And it's like that's not what we
Yeah,
brought you
that
here to
could be
do.
right.
You know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, I want to be a good teammate. Let me find this guy. Let me fit in. But now, don't fit in. You know what I mean? Come in and be who you are. We'll live with the consequences.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
Nah, for sure. For sure.
Trying to think what else stood out to me. Uh, Non-Brunson minutes are becoming less and less of a problem for us, which is
Hmm.
great to see. You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
we're actually increasing leads in non-Brunson minutes. Sometimes taking
Right.
leads in non-Brunson
Right.
minutes, and then um, hopefully it's sustainable. But I think a lot of that has to do with the overall bench production, right? You got
Yeah.
Deuce, who
And
his impact is surely missed when he's gone. I don't care what nobody
hmm
says, and his
hmm
stability when he's here is vital. Both ends of the
right,
floor. You know what I mean? Defends
right.
a starter, defends a bench guy. You know what I mean? And then it's just consistent with the shooting.
Yeah. And that's going to be a key to the season, the non-Brunson minutes. Being able to maintain leads or take leads in the non-Brunson minutes. I think that is a big key to the season. And over the past few games, we've shown success. So that's a strong positive for this team. Strong positive.
This is going to be very interesting to me on a couple of levels. Last year, our starting five, without Mitch Robinson, our starting five had a negative net rating, right?
Mhm.
Um, but our Don Brunson minutes were a detriment all year. How does that even make sense? Um, but I say all that to say this year, our most used lineup is our starting five from last year, Josh Hart with the starters, and our most effective offensive rating and defensive rating is also that lineup. Um, I want your take on that, just that fact. A lot of that I believe has to do with the chemistry. You know what I mean? They played the most minutes together last year by far of
Right.
any group, any five in the NBA. You know what I mean? And it
Yeah.
wasn't even close as far as the
Right.
minutes they played together collectively as a five.
Right.
So by far they
I
have the most experience.
yeah.
You know what I mean, for a second year group.
I think that's a big part of it, right? Them having experience together, so they're comfortable with each other, but also, what lineups are they going against this year,
Mm.
right? Because since Josh Hart isn't starting, that means when that lineup is in together, it's probably a different rotation of play for the players for the other team, not necessarily their starters. You know what I'm saying? Because now Josh Hart isn't a starter; he's coming off the bench, so that timing may have something to do with it. That group may be playing together when they're playing against three of the other team starters, or who knows? You know what I'm saying? So that might have an impact too. But I think
It
it's
also
mostly because they have chemistry together.
Yeah, no, I think that has the most to do with it. It's just interesting that how much of a change it is. It's our best offensive lineup, our best defensive lineup. It's still the most used lineup, even though we're
Yeah,
implementing, more bench guys. Obviously, I think I got to look at, is Josh Hart the first guy in with Mitchell Robinson? I don't know if that's necessarily been the case. You know what I mean? But he's also missed some time, so I'm not really sure since he's been back if that's been the case or not. But I know Shamit's been the first guy before. Deuce been the first guy before. You know what I mean? I think Yabusele has been the first guy before. Um, when Mitchell Robinson didn't play, so it's just interesting. You got to get through a full rotation before you even reach that lineup. Like you said, who knows who they're playing against? But I
right.
wouldn't be surprised if we see that lineup closing in a close game. Um, for those reasons, they had the most chemistry as a unit.
hmm Yeah.
Um,
East Blue Drew said the guys are getting into rhythm with into rhythm more with the ball movement.
yeah, 30 plus assists, right? Was that two
Yeah,
games, back to back games with 30
I
plus?
think I think two back-to-back games with 30 plus assists. Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like that's great. And it's shared wealth. You know what I mean? It's not
yeah,
like uh somebody's dominating in that area per se. It's like you getting it from. I think in the first quarter we might have had 7 guys with an assist, with one at least one assist. Definitely
Yeah,
in the first half,
right.
but I think it was the first quarter. So yeah, this was a great game. I love the way we kind of shut the window on Minnesota. You know what I mean? They had
Hmm.
this fight up until a certain point, and then when we turned it on, you know what I mean? That fight went away. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, it was like this road trip's
they
over.
laid.
Let's get home. I miss my bed. I miss my wife. I miss my kids. Like,
Yeah, they knew they was they knew it was it. They laid down, gave it up.
and that was dope to see.
Because the
Five in a
one
row
thing
at
that
home. But
the one thing that this team, the Knicks, have the ability to do is come at you in waves. You know, of talent,
hmm
not just waves of players, but waves of talent. You can bring in two players to sub in as talented, two more players to come in as talented. You know what I'm saying? Not just guys that's out there on the floor.
and not just the great thing about the waves is, like you said, is waves of talent. It would be a
Hmm.
Brunson barrage. That's what the announcer likes to say. It's a
Right,
Brunson barrage. You know what I mean? But now we could come at you with a wave with multiple players. You know what I mean?
right.
In one stretch. You know what I mean? Like that
Hmm.
stretch with beginning of the game, the oop pass to Mikal, you know what I mean, running the
Right.
floor. The fast break where OG gave it to Brunson, where he didn't have to. OG could have took it to him by himself, gave it to Brunson, kept running. Brunson threw it right back to him for the oop. You know what I mean? Like, how often
Hmm.
do we see lob passes from this unit collectively? You know what I mean?
Right.
It's not very often. We've seen this athletic lobs to Bridges a couple of times now. You know what I mean? OG's catching lobs at the rim. You know what I mean? They're finding Mitchell Robinson off bounce passes. You know what I mean? Like, where is this coming from? Mitchell Robinson don't
Right.
catch bounce passes. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta throw it up. Nah, they're finding different things that we haven't really seen or we didn't really utilize in the past.
Yeah. The Public Enemy say using the bench so the starters can get rest is why the Knicks have been clicking. I think that's true and not true because the Knicks started clicking when he shortened the bench, but the minutes have been spread out a little bit more. Are they spread out more because of the Knicks winning by double digits, or are the Knicks winning by double digits because it's spread out? Who knows? But the Knicks started clicking when they took the lineup down from 11 to 9. That's when that offense started clicking a little bit better, in my opinion, because guys wasn't in and out, right? Your talented players could get more playing time.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of both. You know what I mean, or multiple variables that make it what it is. I do think the bench, like first off, the bench started the year. First 3 to 4 games or so where we were looking for them and where they at. So the bench wasn't really a that contributing that much. So I do think, like you're saying, Sim, the defining of the rotation of the minutes and not
Mm-hmm.
being so in and out. This guy 3 minutes. You know what I mean? Mitch is the guy
Yeah,
getting 3 minutes. Everybody else, they're getting a full run of work up a sweat. You know what I mean? They're getting full opportunities. That wasn't the case. It was 3 minutes here, 3 minutes here. It's 2 minutes. You know
yeah,
what I mean? Like, and that gets a little bit shaky for
yeah. It's hard
guys,
for guys to
especially
get
with
comfortable.
multiple guys.
Yeah, it's hard for guys to get comfortable that way.
I remember a few times when the announcer would be like, "Hey, we haven't seen this five together before." You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like, and when you gotta say that a few times, that you know what I mean? Like, you might be doing too much.
Yeah. Sean said, I'm capping. He's running a 10-man rotation. If you want to count Yabusele, his little 3-4 minutes, go ahead, Sean. You can count that. But to me, Yabusele is really kind of on the outside looking in. We get into a real tight game. I'm not expecting Yabusele to be out there on the floor. I'm expecting a straight, your starting five and then Deuce and Hart, Jordan Clarkson, and I'm missing somebody. I can't think. But I'm not counting on Yabusele.
Yeah, and he's kind of been. He hasn't really shown anything as of yet to kind of say, all right, he deserves the more than the three, 3, 5, 10 minute stretches
Yeah,
that he's getting.
yeah,
Um, even though he did hit a nice three last game, I think last game he also, like, I gotta correct myself. He didn't seem as lost as I thought he
yeah,
did off the first watch.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Shamit is who I was missing.
mm,
Um, so when it really boils down to it, you got your first five, which is Brunson, Bridges, Robinson, Towns, OG. Then you got Josh Hart, Landry Shamit, Deuce McBride, Jordan Clarkson. That's your 9-man rotation for the most part. Yabusele, if you want to count his couple of minutes, feel free. But if the Knicks weren't blowing teams out these last few, uh, or winning by double digits or whatever, he'd be getting. He might. I'm gonna say might because I don't know what's in Mike Brown's head, so I don't want to act like I do. He may have only be getting 3 minutes. I mean, even last night with a blowout, he got 8 minutes, and a lot of those minutes were down the stretch when, well, half of
three of
those,
those minutes, three of those minutes was.
3 of those minutes were down the stretch when Huck Porty, Dottier, Diawara, and Kolick were in the game.
Yeah, they came in with
You
like
know,
3:15, and the previous game they came in with one something.
yeah. Sean
Another
said he's
thing
been
I want to
using
watch.
Sean said he's been using Yabu more lately. He used him 8 minutes last night in a blowout game.
And he was used more in the game Mitchell Robinson missed
Right.
because Mitchell
Because he
Robinson
had to.
was gone.
Yeah. Right. Because Mitchell Robinson wasn't there.
So I think he's the filler guy. You know what I mean? Guys out, he'll get some
Yeah.
more minutes. You know what I mean,
Yeah.
foul trouble might get him some more minutes. Blowing out teams or getting blown out will get him more minutes. But
Right.
he's the last guy in that pecking order.
Yeah.
Um 5-0 at home, Sim. I think
I'm sorry, Tony. So that's where Mike Brown, when he says 9.5, he said 9.5 guys.
that's
I
a
guess
big
that's
that's
where that's where it is. 9.5 guys. So how about that? Let's settle on that, Sean. 9.5, not 10. Settle
that's
on 9.5.
that's a big half too.
Yeah,
But 5-0 at home, undefeated at home. I think 2 or 3 more home games before we hit the road.
yeah.
I think it's the 7 game stretch, and we won 3 in a row, or 5 game stretch.
Oh, say that again.
How many more games is before we hit the road?
Let's see.
Miami's the last home game, and then we go to Miami.
All right, we play Brooklyn on Sunday, right?
Hmm.
Uh, yeah, Brooklyn Sunday at home. We play Grizzlies Tuesday at home. Then we play the Magic Wednesday at home. Then we play Miami at home on Friday.
So four
And
more
then
games at home.
yeah, we got 4 more games at home. Then we go to Miami.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I want us to win them all. You know, what I mean, without jumping ahead, but let's concede that our home record becomes and continues to be a dominant home record, and we become a dominant
Yeah,
home team. How much does our home record in the regular season boost your confidence on what it means in the playoffs? Because to
I
me,
think
I've been talking about it for 2 years now. You know what I mean? We haven't made the home court advantage mean anything, whether it's us having the
mhm,
best road record in the playoffs, whether it was the time we weren't a home team, or just, you know what I mean, not taking advantage of game sevens at
right.
home. And it worries me that I mean, it's two sides to look at it. It could worry you that it's not valuable, and we don't utilize it, or it could mean, you know, we could still win it on the road. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
we
I
every
mean,
game
I
matter.
think, yeah, I think building that confidence and making the Garden a tough place to come to is, winning during at home during the season. I think that's important. Establishing that home court dominance. So that you can take it. Because then now, if you can win on the road and at home in the playoffs, well, now you really, cooking with some good ingredients. You know what I mean? So
Has it worried you, the playoff? Am I overthinking it? Am I not considering the context of us
I think
losing?
that I think there
Or
is context. You know what I'm saying? I think each year in the playoffs, there's been some context about us losing at home, just like there's been context with people say, "Oh, we lose to a lower seed." I think there's a lot of context to that. I find it ironic that some of the same people that complain that we've lost to a lower seed say, "Well, but the regular season, I don't care what seed we come in, we can beat anybody." But then they also complain that we lost to a lower seed. So if your theory is that a team, it doesn't matter the seeding because a team can go in and beat anyone, then why are you complaining that we lost to a lower seed? You know what I'm saying? So I do think there's context behind, um, you know, behind some of our playoff losses at home and, losing to a lower seed as well. But, I think there's context behind it. Obviously we had injuries in some of those losses at home. Um, that the one year against Indiana, we were decimated. In the game seven. So
we were, and that's, that gives the pass for that game and the effort within that game, knowing what I mean, guys was hurt, playing hurt, dropping like flies, getting hurt, and such. But last year tells a different tale, for me. Like the pain, it was the game seven, but it was the game one and two. You know what I'm saying? Like,
mhm,
so, like game one and two hurt more than game seven, 100%.
right,
And we win one of those two or both of them, take care of home court advantage. So
yeah.
you know what I mean. So that
Yeah,
and then my
for
last
sure.
point before I talk about OG and Hart and get out of here. My last point is, I mean, it's been talked about numerous of times, the fact that for the Garden to really mean something, it has to come from within the players for it to mean something. Because
Hmm.
any opposing team that has a star, it means something when they come to the Garden. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
I'm saying, as a home player, you have to match and exceed that excitement, match and exceed that energy because
Mm-hmm.
that energy is coming in from every opponent every time they come on the floor. You know what I mean? You think
Right.
Randall don't want to have his best game of the year coming back to the Garden? You know what I mean? You think LeBron don't want to have his best game in the Garden? You think Trey Young? You know what I mean? Like we talk about it after every game, win or loss. Like look at this guy having this performance. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
guys gear up for
Right.
this. So
Yeah.
as a player, you have to exceed that energy for being at home. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You gotta you gotta take that joy away from these people.
Right. Yeah. Now I get it. Kev Berg said, "I'm going on record. I don't care what seed we are in the playoffs." Okay, I get it. And so on the flip side, I think it should be if we don't care what seed we are, that means other teams and other fans are saying they don't care what seed their team is because they believe their team can beat anybody. So then we shouldn't get upset if we lose to a lower seed. You know what I mean? I mean, a lower seed could literally be 2 games. You know, we were 2 games better than that team. You know what I mean? Um, I think that has to go both ways. If we think we can beat anybody, so we don't care about the seeding, then obviously the flip side would be correct. You can lose to anybody regardless of the seed. So we shouldn't blame the coach for losing to a lower seed. You know,
See, I think we could beat anybody, but I also want the best seed possible. You know what I mean? Like
yeah, that's how I am. Yeah, I want the best seed possible.
you know what I mean? I want an Eastern Conference banner, you know what I mean, to go along with a championship banner.
Hmm. Hmm. I definitely want to, the best seed possible. Get the best seed possible. Uh, you give yourself the best chance. You know,
Um, I
put
want to
yourself
talk
in a
about.
position.
I'm gonna get us out of here. But I want to talk about OG, but I want to talk about Josh Hart real quick. Um, we've talked about it numerous times. We talked about it last night. When somebody, I think it might have been Silk, but somebody talked about Josh Hart. I want him to hit three threes a game, and you know what I mean. And that's what his goal should be. And we both talked about how that's icing on the cake, or you know what I mean. Anything he gives us from that area is a bonus. But one thing I noticed watching the game again, and I also watched the previous game. Um, it's not the fact that his shot is going in. You know what I mean. His form is different, and I heard
Mhm.
people talking about this shooting coach that we brought in, and the correlation between. But I'm watching. Josh Hart used to have a little bit of a hitch in his shot. I remember talking about it last year. I remember talking about it um when he first got here. And you know
Mhm.
what I mean? His form was not the form of a true shooter, if you will. You know what I mean? You never
Right.
looked at his form like, oh, that's a good form. You know what I mean? So two things I noticed: make or miss his shot doesn't have the hitch anymore, and his misses, his misses have been on target. You know what I mean?
Right.
He's not. His first game and he missed a three, and it was like if it was a field goal, it would have missed. You know what I mean? Like it would have been out. That's how wide left it was. So yeah, these last couple of games, that 3-point shot has looked a lot more consistent in the form, not just
Right.
the results. Um, so now I'm ready to kind of just give Silk, if it was Silk, I think it was Silk, right? But just give him some conversation points. So, what if Josh Hart has found, and he's hit stretches. He started his career off with the Knicks shooting 40+%, right?
Yeah, yeah. He
And we
started off
wondered
shooting a
if
high
it was a.
percentage.
I wonder if it was. We wondered if it was a an anomaly or not. What if he found something? And have you noticed the difference in his shot? And that,
Um,
or do you even remember the hitch that I'm referring to?
I mean, I know I haven't paid attention to what his shot looks like this year, so I'm not sure. I have to really look at his shot and pay attention to it to know, if I see a difference in his shot. So I'm not sure.
You remember the hitch?
Yeah. Hmm.
Okay, fair enough. I just want to make sure
Yeah.
that when you look, you can see the, you know what I mean. See,
Yeah.
I'm not bugging. Um, do you think anything in this offense is gonna unlock him more so that than before? The thing about Josh Hart, I think he's perfectly suited for what Mike Brown wants to do. Um,
Yeah.
Especially if he's generating the sprays as opposed to you know
I mean, I think, I
catching
mean,
them.
from what I'm seeing, I feel like he's doing a lot of the same things he did last year. A one man fast break, slice to the basket, penetrate, dribble, penetrate to the basket and kick it out. I think he's doing a lot of the same things. I don't know if I see anything different that he's doing.
Yeah, I don't think it's unlocking anything. I think he's suited for it though. For what
Yeah,
you know what I
yeah, he
mean?
might be suited for the style, right?
Yes.
Definitely suited for the style. Yeah, because he wants to get up. He's a one man fast break. He wants to get up and push.
And that being said, if that 3-point shot turns around or continues to be this consistent, now there's no flaws in his game and what Mike Brown wants as a system. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Or is
right,
running as a system. That would be the only hole in,
right.
in Mike Brown's philosophy or game plan. So I think
And now
it.
he can really keep the floor spread.
Mhm. And that would add him to my breakout watch. But right
Okay.
now, he on the outside looking in. I'm still rocking with Mikhail. I'm still rocking with Deuce. I think they're both having superb starts to the year. Um, but I gotta add OG to the breakout list. Um, I thought he would just be solid, consistent all year, but I think we're seeing more from him this year. Uh, and more a little bit earlier in the year. Like we've seen him have 20-point games, 20+ point games. We've seen him do these things, but not this much this early in the year. You know what I mean? So it's seeming like if he continues on this path, like you said last show, third best player on the team. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
If we're talking about being a top seed in the East and getting a third All Star, he might
He,
get the nod.
he might
You
might get that nod. Right.
know what I mean? Um, yeah, I'm adding him to the breakout list or the breakout watch. What do you think? Do you think this is it? Do you think something that is unlocked, or is it we've seen this before? He'll have this stretch, and then he'll kind of quiet down and
Yeah. I
be
mean,
comfortable in the background.
right now, I'm gonna say we've seen this before. That's why until it's just like super consistent. I'm gonna say we've seen this before. That's where I'm gonna be at right now. You know what I mean? Because we've seen it mad times. Where he had 5 30-point games in a row, and then next thing you know, where'd OG go? You know what I'm saying? Brunson comes back, guys come back. Where'd OG go? You know what I'm saying? So I just want to see him keep this mentality, and it looks like he's purposely playing with this mentality to be more aggressive. So,
I
because
agree.
I think I've seen him take more shots with a guy defending him than I've ever seen.
I think
So
he's I think he's had more self-created attacks to
Yeah,
the rim
for sure.
that we've ever seen. In a short
Yeah,
stint, you know what I mean? Like in were we
yeah,
in an 8 game span? I don't think we've seen it this much.
right.
And there's intent with his drives now. You know what I mean? He's gonna catch a couple of posters if you know what I mean. The way he's getting to the rim and attacking, and
Mhm.
he's not just trying to dunk on people. Like he's finishing with a little bit more swag, a little bit more
More
finesse.
finesse.
You
Yeah,
know what I mean? A little bit.
a
He's
little
like,
bit
I
more
got a couple
touch.
more things in my bag that I haven't really shown
Yeah,
consistently.
right.
Um,
So we'll
my
see.
last
We'll see
question
what he
before we get out of
does.
here, right now, because you said you know this is something we've seen before. You know what I mean? Like you're not ready to say he's here. Third All Star. If the Knicks get three, is it OG right now? Is it? I'm not gonna say right now. Is it OG or is it Mikhail? And then my second part to the question is because I think they're gonna go back and forth all year as far as like, all right, who's hit their stride, who's hit the, you know what I mean? Like who's on the breakout, who's having a breakout year? Or I mean, my second question is, do they hinder each other's chances being on the same team of one of them making the All Star as a
I don't, I
because
don't,
they
I don't know if they hinder each other's chances because if they make the team, you know, the Knicks win 65 games, or like they're winning so many games, you know, by the time All Star voting comes, they, you know, such a good team that it's like, well, damn, they might have a chance of having 4 All Stars. You know what I'm saying? So I think the better the team is, the more of a chance you get 3 guys on there. You
yeah,
know,
but even if we win 65, let's say it's a 40% chance we get 3 All Stars, it's still only a 30% chance we get four.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So
hmm I mean, I
that
think
that's
you know
that,
they
that's the only reason I say does one of them
because
hinder the other, because it may be only a spot for one more
right.
guy, and then it's out of
So
them two, and then it may be a harder
so
decision.
yeah, because the way I'm thinking is like this, right? If both of them, I would rather have, and I think they would both rather have both of their names be in the running than only one of their names be in the running.
That's fair.
You know what I'm
And
saying?
I just to take it further, Mikael would probably rather lose out to OG,
Yeah. Right.
or vice versa. You know what I mean?
Right.
OG would rather lose out to Mikael than
Right.
you know what I
There's
mean
somebody
than
else because
some
if
Celtic,
both of their
some
names,
Celtic.
right, right, and you know, so it helps each other. I don't think it hinders because if both of their names isn't, if they're both not mentioned as possible All Stars, that means one of them's not mentioned at all, or both of them's not mentioned at all, right? Um, so if they're both mentioned, you know, then they're not hindering the other one from getting in, because otherwise one of them, the other one wouldn't be there at all. So if they're both mentioned, I think that's, you know, that's how they wanted to be. And saying they're
What
helping each other because if they're not both mentioned, that means one of them's not even in the running.
this is what I'm gonna say. Knicks family, Knicks chat. You know what I mean, and even to the people that don't watch the show, I'm gonna ask you guys to spread the news to your fellow Knicks fans, wherever they, you know what I mean, wherever they are. When we voting for All Stars, you vote daily and vote all Knicks. You
For real.
know what I'm
Nah,
saying?
that's the truth. That's the truth.
Vote early and or vote every day. You know what I mean? Because it's an everyday thing. And vote all Knicks. Um, Sim, I appreciate you jumping
But,
on with me.
before
Oh,
we go,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
right? I just, I always got an ongoing feud with Sean.
Sean, I knew
Right.
it.
We always got an ongoing feud. He said, the Knicks over the past however many years always lost to a lower seed. I just want to give them some context to a lower seed. Right. Last year we lost to the Indiana Pacers in the Eastern Conference Finals. The Knicks won 51 games last year. Indiana won 50. Yes, they were a lower seed. They won 50 games. We were one game better than them. 2 years ago, we lost to them. We were decimated. We lost to them in the playoffs. We won 50 games. I know we were the second seed. I get all of that. The seeding, the seeding, the seeding. We were the second seed, but guess what? They were the sixth seed, maybe, or whatever seed they were. They won 47 games. We won 50. They won 47. It's a 3-game difference. I can understand if we won 60 and we were the number one seed and we were the number 2 seed and we won 60 games and the number 7 seed won 41 games. Okay, there's a big difference there. And then you lose to that team, that's something. When you talk about 50 and 47, I mean, that's basically a team that's evenly matched, in my opinion. You know, that's 50 and 47, that's not a big difference between those two teams.
Kev Berg said you're explaining exactly why he doesn't care about seeding.
Why he doesn't. And and,
I
and what
just
I,
wanted
and
to
what
give
I'm
give
saying
him
is
props because it's a logical take with the context. You know what I
right.
mean?
And what I'm saying is if we're not going to care about seeding for us, then we shouldn't get upset if we lose to a lower seed, because what we're saying is the seeding it isn't always what it seems, because the teams can be close together in record. You know what I'm
and
saying?
Sean,
The reason why I care about the seeding, because if you are close together in a record and we're winning at home, then hopefully that home court gives us an advantage.
Sean said the Heat was a eighth seed
Yep.
and they made it to the finals. Uh,
Yep.
you know what I mean? Atlanta was whatever seed and they made it to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Hmm.
uh Indiana, Eastern Conference Finals and finals. So even the
Hmm.
teams that we lost to that was a low seed made it at least to the Eastern Conference Finals.
At least to the Eastern Conference Finals. Yeah. You know.
But and I'm listen, I think we should chase wins. I think I'm not saying seeding matters, like it's gonna be the determinant factor of you know what I mean, us winning or not. Again, my concerns are us winning at home when it matters in the game 7.
Mhm.
I think we still have to prove that. I prefer not to get to game 7, but if we do, I can honestly say because of the past experiences, I don't know how
Mhm.
confident I am. Like, all right, we going home. We got, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like
We'll see how. Yeah.
they still
They're
gotta
still gonna
prove
do it,
that to me.
and we'll see how this team. Every year is we got new players, obviously a new coach,
100%.
so it's a new team, and we'll see how this team responds to being at home.
100%.
You know,
Now, I will say this though. Gotta respect the energy at the garden. You gotta respect
have to.
us showing up. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like win or lose, we out there like we playing, we giving it our all. You know what I mean? So the energy, we gotta continue that because I think that feeds the players. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Maybe that's how they was able to last so long, even decimated in some
yeah.
point. You know what I mean?
But then you got the travel, going to other places, and and all those things that factor in. And it doesn't. Nothing guarantees that you're gonna win. You just give yourself as big of an edge as possible.
Absolutely. But yeah, yeah, we don't have to be the first seed. You know what I mean? We would like to be. I don't think it's going to determine us being able to beat our opponent.
Nah,
But
and I also feel like, to me personally, it fuels that mindset. You know what I'm saying? We have some goals, and we're going to go out and try to accomplish these goals. And and it fuels the mindset to go out and fight for your goals. Now obviously, if you're a lower seed, there's some motivation there. Like, okay, we're lower seed, but we know we can do this and do that. So there's motivation there as well. You know what I mean? So there's ways in each way, to motivate yourself. But I like the idea of setting goals and going out and trying to fight, and it helps you stay focused. Be focused. You know what I mean? And focus on the steps, not the end goal. You know, Kobe, Kobe always told this story about when he had his Achilles, right? And he, people were telling him he could, come back from the Achilles, and he, you know, he looked at it as such a tall task, right? And then he told a story about climbing a mountain. Either someone told him or whatever it was, and you look up at the top of the mountain, you're like, how am I supposed to get all the way up there, right? But the key was going one step at a time and focusing on each step and accomplishing all these small goals along the way, until you get to the top of the mountain. But when you're standing all the way down here on the ground and you look up, it looks like it's an impossible feat. But when you focus on each step and you accomplish small goals along the way, saying, you build your confidence and you get stronger. And that's what I look at, during the regular season. Accomplishing goals, getting stronger as a team. One of your goals might be, we're going to win as many, we're going to try to get the highest seed possible. You know what I'm saying? That's one of your steps along the way. So you're not just focused on, I just get scared when we start talking about, we're doing this so we're ready for the championship. We're doing this so we're rested for the Eastern Conference Finals. We're doing this so we're prepared for something all the way down the line, when we have all of these steps in between that we got to get to first. So I think, battling each night for wins, setting some goals, we're gonna, we want to be at this point, and do this at this point, do this at this point, get the highest seed possible. You know what I'm saying? It keeps you focused along the way, so your brain doesn't start to wander to the NBA finals, because you can't, because you're focused on these goals. Small goals,
Which I do feel like probably happened last year. I do feel like, even though we play Indiana tough, and it is no excuse for us losing those games, them first two games, in the fashion in which we did. But I do think they was looking at the championship prior to even
yeah,
playing. I think they was looking
probably
at
at
who's
a
gonna
certain
be our
point they
matchup.
got
Are
there.
we playing Randall or Hartenstein?
Yep. I mean, I know the fans was, listen. I don't know how many times I ain't worried about Indiana. I ain't worried about Indiana. They can't beat us. I ain't worried about Indiana. You know, and it's hard not to think like that sometimes.
It is. Even
You
even
know,
even as the players, we talk
yeah,
about context, right? I know they
yeah.
was like, oh, if we wasn't hurt the year before, you know what I mean? If we
Exactly.
wasn't dropping like flies,
We'd have swept
I
them. We
know
would have
they
did
was this.
this. We would have did
Like,
that.
you
You
can't
know
tell
they was
me
thinking that
they wasn't thinking that.
all day, all day.
So they needed that humbling experience, right? To say,
Yeah,
hey, you ain't there
yep,
until you there. And then when you
yep.
get there, you still gotta win.
You
You know what I'm
still
saying? Like,
gotta win. You still gotta win. And for anyone who disliked Tibbs, you gotta admit he was very good at keeping you focused on the here and now, taking care of these small goals, small tasks, getting better every day. And I'm not saying Mike Brown's not doing that. I'm just saying that's something that he did well with this team. And hopefully Mike Brown has those same concepts. Get better every time we step on the floor. Let's accomplish some goals along the way. Let's focus on how we continuously rise. And then when we get to the playoffs, we'll focus on game one of series one. You know what I mean? And how we beat that team. We ain't gonna look past. We're not gonna look at anything else. And then in series two, same thing. We're gonna focus on this team. We don't care who it is, because if they got to round two, then they're good. If they got to the playoffs, they're good, and you can lose to them. So we got to focus on it. And I think
Yeah,
he has the
yeah.
experience. I think he has the playoff experience to know that.
I got one last question, son, and you blame Sean Richardson because he said something about the Pacers having the better coach, and that being why we lost. So shout out to
Mm-hmm.
him for that. I, I'm sorry I can't post them, but I see them as they scroll. So, but my question to you is, because I do think he was out coached in the series, right? I think that's fair.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fair assessment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, my question to you is, can you fairly even say if Mike Brown, I'm not saying it has happened, but through the course of the season, can you give somebody, can you say someone has been out coached, or do you really need to look at it in the series to kind of see the
Um.
responses, and
Yeah, I
like,
think you
because
got. I
anybody
think you
can
got
get
to
out
look at
coached
it.
for a game, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think you got to look at it in a series. Yeah, people. In every game, people say, "Oh, someone was out coached," or this or that. Um, you don't know. This team might have traveled to New York. You know what I'm saying? Or we might have traveled and been on the, have played 4 games in 6 nights or something crazy like that. You know what I'm saying? So you don't know. When you're in the
Even with
playoffs, it's more control, right? You play a game, rest, play a game, rest, play a game, rest, travel. You get time to rest, play a game, rest, right? So there's more control over that. There's obviously more strategy involved because you're breaking down, because you're playing the same team. So teams are making adjustments and all of that. And then even within that, there's context, right? Let's talk about Mike Brown. Now, let's not even talk about Tom Thibodeau. Let's talk about Mike Brown. Um, he may play in a series and someone says he got out coached. I would also say, well, who did we play against? Has that team been together for a while? So does that coach know his players? And how long has Mike Brown coached this basketball team? Because that means something to me. You know what I'm saying? When Mike, every step of the way this season is going to be the first time that Mike Brown and this team got there together. Every step of the way. The next game that we play is going to be the first time that Mike Brown and his team has been this far in the season together. We make it to the first round of the playoffs. It's going to be the first time that they got to the first round of the playoffs together. We make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. It'll be the first time that they got there together. So every step of the way, Mike Brown is going to be experiencing something from his team that he's never experienced before. He's going to be learning something about this team that he never knew. Every single step of the way, he's going to be learning something about these guys. So how can you say that he was out coached when he may not know
it was
how
a
someone's
learning
going to respond?
experience for him.
Right. When he's not going to know how somebody might respond in a certain situation. He may not know, and I'm just going to throw a player out there, that when we get to the Eastern Conference Finals, that OG Anunoby is going to freeze up because he's scared. He may not know that, right? Because he's never been there before with this team. So now, someone say, oh, well, he got out coached by Kenny Atkinson or something like that. When in reality, Kenny Atkinson's been with that team for a while. He knows the players inside and out, maybe. He knows who's going to respond in certain ways. He knows, who's going to get hot. What plays might work because these guys can execute it on this level. Mike Brown's not going to know that yet. You know what I mean? And that plays a big part in coaching. That plays a huge
Yeah,
part in coaching.
I think think you can get outcoached in a single game, but to your point, even if it's not, even if it's his second year, you know what I mean? Like one game is different from being outcoached in the series. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like because you know what I mean. You don't get that opportunity necessarily to bounce back. You don't get that
right,
opportunity necessarily to see how you respond. You know what I mean? These little
right.
back to back series, home and away, you know what I mean? Those are slight opportunities
Little
where you
slight
could
little
game
practice
plan,
days.
adjust
Yep.
accordingly specific to your opponent, you know what I mean? But for the most part, it's on to the next opponent. You gotta throw that away. You got a whole new game plan, you got a whole new scouting report. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
Um
So so it's all going to be brand new for Mike Brown with this basketball team. Wherever we get, every step of the way this season is all going to be brand new. It's going to be learning. So when when someone jumps and says he's been out coached, oh, he got out coached. Okay, all right, I can understand what you're saying, but there's some context there too. And it was the same way last year with the Knicks versus the Indiana Pacers, in my opinion. There was some context there because
yeah,
in the
it
Eastern
was the
Conference
first
Finals,
time. It was their first time together, right?
and
With
and
that selection.
more than half the team were new players. In the Eastern Conference Finals, more than half of the team were new players. Some of the guys playing in the Eastern Conference Finals had only been playing with the team for half the season. You know what I'm saying? So it makes sense. And plus, Rick Carlisle is an excellent coach. You know what I mean? I mean, I mean, he's an excellent coach.
and
But
they was
also,
and they was there together for
right,
other than Siakam,
right.
who
But
was
also, talent and depth means something. They're 1-7 this year. Talent and depth means a lot. So, are you going to tell me now he's not a good coach?
yeah, and he lost. They lost to the Nets. You know what I mean? Like I was just watching what's his name? The low post pod, whatever. Zach Lowe. There you go, Zach Lowe.
Mhm.
Um, and I think it was him, but he was like, don't nobody want to lose to matter of fact, it might have been Windhorse, but whoever it was, they like nobody want to lose to the Nets. You know, we might wake up and they 0-30. You know what I mean? Like teams was like we do not want to give them their first win. And,
Right.
and at that point, it was them and the Pelicans who haven't won a game, and they have both since won their first game. So you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
oh, well,
Fred
yeah.
Wong said the season
Okay.
preparation for the playoffs. You should know your team by then. Then you have 82 games to get it right. See, this is where I disagree with you, Fred, because Mike Brown, this is going to be his. How do you know? You say you should know your team by then, but if they've never been in the playoffs, if I asked you before the season if the playoffs are a different beast than the regular season, you'll say yes, it's a different beast. It's a different game. So how can you say that he should know the team by then when you're now entering an entirely different game? It's a new season. It's a different style of playing the playoffs. So how does he know how this team is going to play at that point in time? He doesn't until he gets there. Yes,
So
I agree. The season is preparation for the playoffs, but once you get into the playoffs, it's a different beast. It's a different animal. You got to fall back on that preparation, but now people respond differently.
and just because he doesn't know means that they haven't been through it yet, but that doesn't mean he doesn't have an expectation, or he doesn't
Right,
have
right,
a theory or a thought of how they will be, you know what I mean? But you know
right,
what I mean, they you may think it's gonna go one day one way, you know what I mean, and then in that moment it may go another way. So then Mike Brown got to adjust, you know what I mean? Or
right.
you know what I mean? Let's say this is hypothetical, but Clarkson ain't been in the playoffs in a minute, right? Let's say game one in the playoffs, he's 0 for whatever, has this bad run. The expectation would not be like, oh, we didn't expect him. We expected this of him. He hasn't been here. But at the same time, the point I was trying to make was now Mike Brown has a choice, right? Does he
Yeah,
live with that performance and say, "Oh, he's not ready for the playoffs. He's not. He's not ready for bright lights," or does he say, "Oh, let me see how he bounced back"? I don't know. You know what I mean? But let me see. You know what I mean? Like, let me see if next game
yeah,
he comes back stronger, plays better, and you
right.
know what I mean? Like,
And then
but
guess
he
what?
won't
He
know if
learned
he's
something
if
about
he won't know until he gets that second try.
that second
You know
try.
what I mean?
And then Jordan Clarkson comes back strong, and now he knows, like, okay, all right, he came back strong. I can depend on him, right? He's going to be learning. He's going to be learning. Just saying, he's going to be learning.
You see, he's still rocking with Yabusele, right? Early on, he's like, "Yeah,
Yeah, he's
give
still
him.
rocking with him.
I'm gonna give him all the 3 minutes in the world."
Yeah, he's still rocking with him. And I'm rocking with Mike Brown for rocking with him, but I'm like, okay, let's see what happens.
Here's
I'm
what I
hoping
will say:
Yabusele turns it around. I do hope he turns it around.
in you know what I mean, the fact that he's gone away from Huck Porty, you know what I mean? Like I early in the season when Huck Porty played his little 3 minutes, 5 minutes, you know what I mean? Just gauging the two, I was like, well, Huck Porty should play over him. I don't even mind him letting him work through this, you know what I mean, as a new addition. And because it's not like Huck Porty shined through in his minutes to be like, oh, definitively, you know what I mean? Like he's shown growth. You, so I'm not even mad at it. Let him get comfortable. Let him start hitting that shot and see where
Yeah,
things
we'll
go.
see. Yeah, we'll
Defense
see.
is where I'm worried
Hold
about,
on.
honestly, if nothing else, because I also think
Yeah,
you got to
I
put him
mean,
around put defenders around
he's
him
not
as
even
well.
like he's not even athletic. Looking, I mean, the one thing that this team doesn't have is athletes, like that level of athletes. Obviously, we have athletes. These guys are athletes. Um, but we don't have a high level of athletes relative to the NBA, and he might be the least athletic guy on our team. He's 6'7", 6'8", and he can barely get up and dunk an alley oop. I'm like, what the hell?
Well, I think Brunson had 2 dunks last year. That's gonna be over under. Who gets more dunks, Brunson or Yabusele this year?
Right. I'm like, okay. I would rather have Jemison out there than Yabusele. I'm gonna lie.
I like Jameson. I ain't gonna lie either. I like his stature. He don't seem rattled. He don't seem like
Yep.
the moment's too big. You know what I mean? Like
Nope.
he seemed like, and again, I don't know how long he's even been in the league, but he plays like a vet, a seasoned vet. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like he gives me like young Taj Gibson vibes. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
not game, just demeanor.
Yeah. I don't know. And maybe
But
it's just
still,
me.
man, I
I don't
appreciate
really
you.
like Yabusele, so I ain't gonna front. He rubbed me the wrong way right from the beginning. Yeah. I don't know.
You know, it's funny. I was super down on the signing. You know what I mean? Like I thought, and this, you know what this was too. This was being a Knicks fan, watching guys over the years when the Knicks was trash, and finding a reason to like these guys. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And we've all been guilty of it over the years. One day we're gonna do a show on that. You know what I mean? The top 25 players that we should never have rooted for. But
Right.
you know what I mean? You know what I mean? But that's the way I look at Yabusele, or that's the way I did. I no longer look at him this way because he's a Nick. But I looked at the Philly fans as a unsuccessful season, the lone bright spot. You know what I mean? And now you overvalue him as a player as opposed to the context of he
Yeah.
had way more opportunity than they thought he was gonna get. He shined a little bit, made a name for himself in the Olympics. You know what I mean? Like to even get the shot. I ain't giving up yet, but I feel you, Sim. He hasn't shown anything.
Yeah, he hasn't shown me nothing, man. I don't know.
He gotta get in shape. But chat, man, I appreciate you guys for jumping in with me. Sim, I appreciate you
Yeah, you
EPing
know.
and holding it down. I'm looking at next week. Oh, yeah, probably next Friday. I should be good back with the computer. So yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
but appreciate you holding me down in the meantime. Um, when we play Sunday, yeah, I see us.
Sunday.
I'm sure we'll do something before then, but
Yeah, for sure.
definitely see you Sunday. Let's keep this thing going.
Yeah, no doubt. All right.
Peace.
Peace.